Welcome to the second hour of the show with no name. I'm Bob Going with Gavin Murdoch. This is October the 4th, 2013. And if you're watching this, you probably already watched the first hour. Sometimes, when I list the topic, more people watch one hour than the other, but usually it's pretty much the same. So, I compared the statistics for last week's show with the statistics for my video on the new traffic pattern on Church Street.
Traffic pattern 1, huh?
Trafc pattern 1.
People like cars better than us.
Would we got ratings like that every week? Okay.
we could go syndication.
Yeah, maybe I'll just attach this program to the end of the other video, and people will be watching, and all of a sudden it'll be the show with no name.
Pretty good idea.
Maybe
go viral.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that.
Or virus.
We didn't discuss the beard on the first hour. Today is the first day of the American League Division Series with the Red Sox. I guess both games are tonight.
Well, let's
right?
see. There's 4 games.
They did They did 2 National League
yesterday. And today, it's Boston plays.
Boston plays at 3, and the other one must be playing at 7.
Detroit
right?
and Oakland would be
or later.
This could be the day of 3 games though.
It could be, yeah, sure.
A game of 3 days.
Oh, sure. There's plenty of time for that if Oakland's playing on the West Coast. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I caught a little bit of the Pittsburgh St. Louis game yesterday. Holy mackerel, that was out of control, in the second inning, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, but I think Pittsburgh is still hungover from the celebration of the champagne.
Well, look, they hadn't been in a while.
Yeah.
As my brother says, I miss the pillbox hats.
Oh, yeah, with the stars on them and the gold stripes around them.
Yeah, stripes around this.
Yeah. We are family.
They should bring those back for this series.
That'd be nice.
It would be neat. What was that, 70s? Had to have been, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
That was a good team.
Yeah.
That was a good team. St. Louis always has a good team, don't they?
And you never hear about them.
Yeah, but year in, year out, they've always got. Yeah, they're always contenders. They play a nice brand of baseball. Always have.
They haven't missed Pujols a bit.
What's that?
They haven't even missed Pujols since they got rid of him.
He's done nothing since he left, hasn't he?
Like he didn't do anything, and then he got hurt this year, so he's done even less.
Boy, they must have known what they were doing.
Well, I guess.
I mean, that's one of the greatest guys who's ever played the game.
He was till he got old.
He isn't that old, is he?
He's in his mid-30s.
Mid-30s, yeah. It's not like he's like.
Got?
It's not like he's 39.
Plantar fasciitis or something like that. He's got something wrong with his feet. His heels.
Well, that'll do it. If you can't dig in your heels.
No.
Well, anyway, so the quick rundown. I did not stay. I either did not stay up for the end of the Dodger game, or I was doing something else. But they ended up winning, right?
6-1, they won.
Yeah.
Kershaw struck out 12, pitched 7 innings, gave up 1 run. Dodger, year-old
Gonzalez hit a homer and
2-run homer.
Yeah.
So
he's a good hitter. I was surprised, not that it's bad, but his season batting average was only .293.
Yeah, and
considering he always looked like he was hitting something when I watched him.
Well, he was hitting up in the good 30s beginning of the season. He pretty much carried him, and then as the other guys, Puig and Ramirez started hitting, his average kind of went down, but his RBI totals went up. So I think he got away from trying to just put the ball in play to hit it out of the park once he had those guys with him.
So, Hanley Ramirez was the shortstop of the future for the Red Sox, and they traded him for Beckett and Mike Lowell.
Yeah.
Which turned out to be not a bad deal for both clubs. Of course, that was Florida.
Yeah.
Lowell went on to be the MVP of the World Series, and then he got hurt and actually retired, I guess. Relatively young, and Beckett, of course, had a couple of great seasons, but he never had 2 great seasons in a row.
No,
he'd had 1 stinkeroo, followed by a great season, by another stinkeroo, another great season, and now he's given his stinkeroos.
And he's been with the Dodgers, and he's been hurt all year.
He's done nothing. He's added nothing to that team.
But Crawford and Gonzalez have. And, I think it worked out well. And look where Loney ended up. He ended up with Tampa Bay. He's the first base because he went to the Red Sox. Loney. Jake Coney. He went part of that trade. He went to Boston last year. Boston let him go when he got picked up by Tampa Bay and is hitting over 300 for Tampa Bay.
Oh, good. Good.
And I don't remember who else Boston got from the Dodgers.
Now, whether obviously the Dodgers weren't afraid of spending money, but it was the best thing that happened to the Red Sox to dump all those salaries, because it was an incredible hole they were in with those guys. And of course, if Gonzalez wasn't part of the trade, you had nothing, because Crawford wasn't delivering. Beckett was sucking up the lot, and what was that guy's name? Nick
Punto.
Yeah.
And he's doing well with the Dodgers this year as a utility infielder.
Yeah, that's what he was. Yeah, and he was a pretty good ball player, but a utility guy. Yeah. But that was, he was more of an afterthought. But the big salaries were the three guys, and plus they were poison on the team.
But they've been different environment. They talk how great they are in the clubhouse with the Dodgers.
Yeah, it's great. Well, Crawford was a head case. He really tried. He really tried. He was just in a slump with the Red Sox. He just couldn't pull out of the funk, and it just got worse and worse the harder he tried.
Right, because I think that wall had a lot to do with it.
It had a lot to do with it, but it was also, the thing is, when you're getting paid that kind of money, the fans expect a lot more out of you, and they weren't giving them. I mean, it's not like they were booing them, but they weren't giving them a lot of rooting either.
Right, because coming from the Florida team there, he kind of could play well and be unnoticed and not have to worry about it. Boston, it's a tough city.
No matter what happens between Tampa Bay and Boston, I got to tell you, I was kind of glad that Cleveland got bumped off, because they've been so hot, and the last thing I wanted was the revenge-filled Terry Francona walking into Fenway Park today.
Yeah.
So he went home, thank God. So anyway, that's that. So this is day 19 of my Red Sox beard. It's finally starting to look like a beard. So much that I'm scaring the granddaughter. But anyway,
speaking of beards, just who had a beard for Cleveland?
Actually, no.
Swisher had a nice beard.
Oh,
for
really?
Cleveland.
Yeah. Okay. Great ball player.
Go in the clubhouse after the game, they shower and shave.
Out it goes.
No beard. He comes out for the interview like, guys, we're taking back. What happened? He said, it's over. We're done. I got rid of the beard.
I grew a mustache for Guys and Dolls. I was playing, among other things, I had like 5 parts with the Galway players, but playing a waiter in Havana. So I figured I should have a mustache. And that's in the first act. On the last night of the show, in between the first and second acts, I shaved off the mustache. I got rid of it. And I came out of the second act without the mustache. It must have been very confusing.
Was that opening night or closing night?
That was closing night.
Closing night.
That was closing night. Speaking of the Adirondack players, we mentioned it on the radio show, but Tim Cowper, state trooper, was killed in a plane crash this week. Great guy. His wife, Chrissy, one of my friends, and was always a star of the Galway Players shows. Partly because her mother was the director, but mostly because unbounded talent. I mean, she would play these comic leading roles with such aplomb. I mean, she held nothing back. I'd say, nice subtle performance tonight, Chrissy. Annie Oakley and Annie Gets Your Gun, the Miss Adelaide and Guys and Dolls, et cetera, et cetera. Just one after another, after another, after another. They got at least the 2 daughters. I forget if they got any more kids. They all kind of blend in because there were, a lot of the director's grandchildren were in the shows too, and I forget who was attached to who, but just wonderful, nice, loving people, great friends, and I just feel so bad about it. The wake is going to be Saturday up in Galway, and I hope to get there. But good people. Terrible thing. Anyway, that's that. So the federal government is sort of shut down.
It is.
Sort of. Barack Obama's got to be like the meanest man in the world. He'll do anything so he can score political points. And all these things that he's closing down are not required to be closed down by the law. He's just trying to make it as miserable as possible for as many people. So, not me, wasn't me, it was them. Yeah.
Now, we did this a while back. He closed down. Now, it seems to me that some of the
things. This
things.
is the 17th time since the 70s.
It was last spring. Was the last spring?
Well, we had the sequester thing, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, when the sequester went into effect automatically, the sequester that he asked for,
right?
Because he figured the sequester would be so bad that nobody would agree to keep it.
Didn't they have different people they deemed as not necessary then than this time? It looks like he's been playing around. I don't remember some of the ones that come about. He picks and chooses who he wants to make suffer.
Absolutely. The last time. He laid off like 40% of the air traffic controllers.
Yes.
Completely unnecessary. All they had to do was cut a percentage of the budget. So he found the most essential people and furloughed them so that it would cause the most chaos and people would demanding something separate. One of the things, we were talking about that car chase, probably in the first hour, I guess, right?
Yes.
The car chase yesterday in Washington. All the reports were talking about how the cops that were involved in the chase were furloughed and they were working but not getting paid. The law that provides for these shutdown situations specifically exempts law enforcement and military. Okay, so the law does not provide for him to do what he was doing by not paying the Capitol Police or whoever they were. Right?
Yes.
Specifically, but. You know what? We got to mention. These guys are working without pay. Yeah, right. Why are they working without pay? Because you're not paying them. Not because the law says that you can't pay them.
Well, the other big one they were talking about was all our NSA people that are laid off. So it's cutting back on our opportunity for our
you're right.
Security now because we don't have these people checking your email or whatever what they're doing. And I don't remember that being mentioned the last time. So I think you're right. He picks and chooses who he wants to make
whatever he thinks is. Now I have to conclude that on top of being like one of the meanest people in the world, he's also really freaking stupid. Shutting off the World War II memorial when you got these nonagenarian guys in wheelchairs knocking down barriers so they can get in there. Can you imagine if they had arrested one of those veterans for going to see the World War II memorial?
Well, you have to say the guys are smart enough not to do that.
Yeah. Well, I think every time somebody the honor flight people are calling up and saying, "Well, are you saying that they'll get arrested if they show up?" Yes. Can I have your name, please? No. No. Nobody wants their name attached to it. Obviously, there are memos that went around that I would love to see because they had this all planned in advance, how they were going to make as many people miserable as possible. Now, they did not lay off one person in the park police that govern those sites to do this. In fact, they put more people on to put up the barricades. These are open-air monuments that are open 24 hours a day.
Doesn't matter.
All right? They're open 24 hours a day. You don't require anybody to be there to watch them. During the day, for 8 hours a day, there are sight interpreters there and things like that. They can tell you what you're looking at, for those of you who can't read, in the many languages that are posted there. But so it was. They spent more money barricading them, and then so they could blame the Republicans. Well, how freaking stupid! Especially when the veterans knock down the barriers and go in. How are you going to win that argument? Mount Vernon, privately owned. All right, Mount Vernon, George Washington's house in Virginia, has been privately owned for 150 years. The Mount Vernon Ladies of the Foundation or something owns it. A nice place to visit, by the way. I recommend it. One of my collateral relatives designed and built parts of the Mount Vernon house. In any event, the federal government goes to set up barricades to close down the parking lot. Turns out they don't even own it. Today they say, well, okay, we made a mistake. Yeah, but they sent people out there to barricade parts of the parking lot. Made it impossible for buses to turn around, for example. What? What petty nonsense. Here's they shut down all the commissaries, all the PXs on the armed forces bases around the world.
What did they keep open?
They kept open the golf course. They kept open the golf course so Obama can go play golf. That's open. You can go to Andrews Air Force Base and play golf if you're the president, but you can't get a box of Cracker Jacks at the PX. It turns out the commissaries are privately run. Okay, they operate under contract. They've already been paid. Okay. Or vice versa, or they've paid the government, however it works out. So the government really has nothing to do. The government saves not one dime by shutting down the commissaries. All they do is make people miserable, and they'll say, "Oh, Congress's fault. Congress's fault." They expect people to be freaking stupid. They count on people being idiots.
They want to save money. You get rid of all the czars and all the people who've been hired under the czar programs.
Well,
and you could save a whole.
Funny that you should mention that, comrade.
Is that a segue, Bob?
You didn't even know about this.
I didn't know about that.
Last night I printed out just the index of U.S. government departments and agencies. Okay, this is very small print. It runs 11 pages. Although there's only the Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars on the last page. Apparently, there's no X, Y, or Z. Named departments.
Okay, and you got about 40 on a page?
Well,
50?
Something like that. Well, yeah, I haven't counted them, but yeah, probably. Yeah, because usually 66 lines to a page.
Oh, okay, because you got...
all right, just under A. We start off with the Ability One Commission. I don't know.
Okay.
They've never done anything for me. I probably won't miss them. The Access Board.
Access Board? They're in charge of access?
I should have brought the computer out here because if you click on each of these, it'll give you a brief description of what they do, and some of it...
Brief? Yeah.
No, it really is. It's a brief description. And some of them are quite hilarious. Quite hilarious. I forget which one it was, but one of the boards or one of these commissions or whatever departments, their sole function is to advise other departments on what they could be doing. I remember this is absolutely true. There was, everybody's got a job title. And this one person's job title was the administrative assistant to the assistant administrator in charge of administration, Department of Agriculture or whatever. I forget what the department was.
No way.
Honest to God, the administrative assistant, which is the secretary, to the assistant administrator in charge of administration.
A secretary to secretary is somebody who doesn't have anything to do. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I got it.
Yeah.
All right. That's...
the Access Board. Let's see. Administration of Children and Families. These are the people who oversee the different children and family welfare programs that the states administer. So the federal government has a
department on the states.
As administration. They don't actually help children and families. They just, I don't know what they do. The Administration for Native Americans. That's probably the former Indian Bureau.
Which should be under the Department of Interior.
Administration on Aging. That's one of those advisory things. Administration on Developmental Disabilities. All these things should be done at the state level. Administrative Committee of the Federal Register. The Federal Register is where all the regulations are printed. But this isn't the Federal Register, mind you. No. This is the Administrative Committee of the Federal Register. Administrative Conference of the United States. This is where, I looked that one up, the Administrative Conference of the United States is where the administrators from the different departments get together and discuss the best ways to administration. Administrative Office of the U.S. Courts. And the Advisory Council on Historic Preservation. Lord only knows. The African Development Foundation.
You're trying to develop Africa?
Yes.
Okay.
Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality.
You're trying to find out why you age?
This is probably one of a dozen health research-related agencies. Agency for International Development. That's, most of our foreign aid goes through there. Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry. I don't know. I think they.
They keep a list of the diseases.
They keep a list. They keep a list of the diseases and toxic substances. Agriculture Marketing Service, Agricultural Research Service, Agriculture Department. Throw all those out. Farmers don't need the federal government to tell them how to sell their eggs.
Or what to grow.
Or what to grow. Oh, I love this one. The Air and Radiation Hotline.
So when you discover air,
somebody sits around next to a telephone all day long and takes reports on suspected radiation, I guess. And what do they do with it when they get it? I don't know. The Air Force, I understand that one. Here's one. The Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau. That's in the Treasury Department.
Okay, so that's the ones put the stamps on your cigarettes.
There's also an Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosive Bureau in the Justice Department.
They're the guys who catch people who sell cigarettes without stamps on them.
Now, back up to the first one. The Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau. All right.
Okay.
Forget the alcohol for a moment.
Oh.
Let's just concentrate on the tobacco. We have the same department, apparently, different divisions. Make sure that the cigarettes are all taxed.
Yes, they have this blue stamp on the top. Yeah.
And the Trade Bureau part of this department make sure that the tobacco is subsidized when we sell it in foreign markets. We help them market the tobacco to India and things like that. So we provide, federal government's getting involved with promoting smoking overseas.
Well, it's better there than here.
And the same department fights it here. This is true. I'm not making this up.
You don't have to. Truth is stranger than fiction.
The American Battle Monuments Commission. Now, what do they do all year long? Lord only knows. And who would ever eliminate this department? I'm in favor of battlefield monuments, but you know what? Once you build them,
people will come.
We haven't had a battle in a while. This is a year-round thing. AmeriCorps recruiting. Apparently, this is something different from AmeriCorps. It's just recruiting people to be in AmeriCorps. Amtrak, of course. National Railroad Passenger Corporation. I'm going to tell this story despite the fact that it was told to me by someone else who may be writing about it himself. But noted presidential historian David Petrusha was in Washington this week. He did an appearance on Monday on C-SPAN about Florence Harding. It was their First Lady series. Mm-hmm. And it'll be repeated Saturday evening, I think, at 7, tomorrow, which is tomorrow, which may be today if you're watching this.
And what channel is that?
On the regular C-SPAN channel, which is 14 on the Time Warner dial.
Okay.
Although he got switched to C-SPAN 3 on Monday night because the House went into session because it was the last day before the funding ran out. Anyway, he's riding Amtrak. And he goes into the cafe car. And somebody had ordered like a small coffee, and they made a big coffee instead.
Okay, so they got more than they ordered.
No.
Is it bigger than smaller? Bigger?
Yeah. The guy said, I'm not paying for a large coffee. I ordered a regular coffee. So
No.
they take the large
No.
cup of coffee, poured it into a regular cup, gave it to the guy, poured the rest down the drain, and threw out the first cup.
No.
Yes, that's your federal government at work.
No.
Yes, that's their solution. It wouldn't be fair otherwise. Otherwise, he'd be getting something he didn't pay for.
But we can waste more.
Pour the rest down the
You
drain.
wasted
You know,
it.
I mean, it was like, you know, the great Pat Paulson routine about the different economic systems with the two cows.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Old New Dealism. You milk both cows and pour the milk down the drain.
Yeah.
Or the federal government buys the stuff from the one cow and pours it down the drain. We're only in the A's here. Okay, the Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service.
All right. Inspect the animals and check the plants.
The Antitrust Division. I don't know where that is these days. Commerce Department? I don't know.
Well, the antitrust, we have no trust in the federal government.
The Appalachian Regional Commission. This was something set up during the
Depression.
No, I think that was Lyndon Johnson's.
Yeah.
What was that? No, the Great Society. That was one of those Great Society programs. We must develop Appalachian. Oh, they've done a great job of that in the last 50 years, haven't they? Architect of the Capitol.
What
That's
do
a
you do when
continuous
everything's built?
position.
Yeah, but you've already built it. What do you?
Archives, National Archives and Records
Okay.
Administration. They've got a great website. The Arctic Research Commission.
Okay, you're.
The Armed Forces Retirement Home. Did you know there was such a thing?
No, I didn't know that.
I don't know where that is, and I don't know who's allowed to go there.
'Cause
Remember, they gave General Eisenhower that house in Gettysburg because he was a 5-star general. All the 5 stars got permanent residences, I guess. Except for MacArthur. He ended up living in a hotel. What was that all about? Well, hopefully the government was paying for that, too. He lived in the Waldorf Towers for the last decade of his life, I
Oh, I
guess.
didn't know that.
Yeah, Herbert Hoover lived in the same place. They used to bump into each other in the elevator. Probably kept talking about the bonus marchers every time. The Arms Control and International Security. The Army, okay.
Yeah,
The Army Corps of Engineers.
that's a different group from the Army.
Oh, this is great. You know, naturally we would have, this is a requirement of the federal government, the Arthritis and Musculoskeletal Interagency Coordinating Committee, which means that there are several agencies dealing with arthritis and musculoskeletal whatevers.
We need that. Is that are the list you're reading? Are these all have been deemed essential?
Oh no, these
No.
are just all the agencies. I'm just wondering if
How many are?
if we shut down every other one of these, how much money we would save, and would anyone notice? The Atlantic Fleet Forces Command. Okay, understand that. My
Why is that
uncle
part of
the
the
Admiral
joint-
used to be in charge of some of
Yeah,
that.
but why is that just under the Joint Chiefs of Staff
No, apparently they get their own
or the
website.
Secretary of the
I
Navy?
don't know. We got the bankruptcy courts. How about this one? I'm into the B's now. The Barry M. Goldwater Scholarship and Excellence in Education Foundation. Naturally, we couldn't get rid of that. Who's against excellence in education?
That's right.
And who do those grants go to? The Bonneville Power Administration. Where's Bonneville?
Bonneville Salt Flats is out in Utah, isn't it? Bonneville?
Oh, Bonneville Flats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is it? The Bonneville what?
Bonneville Power Administration. Then maybe they got
A dam there?
they don't even have any water there, do
Well, that's why it's called Salt Flats.
they? All right.
Maybe they're
Right, the
looking for
Bonneville
it.
Salt Flats.
They're looking for it.
Oh, maybe they got that solar power out there, probably.
Okay.
Well, I'll never be able to get rid of that. The Botanic Garden. I don't know where that is. Is that in Washington?
Yeah, I think so.
Never been there. Should go. The Broadcasting Board of Governors. They have Voice of America, Radio, TV Marti,
Radio Free Europe.
Radio Free Europe. Do you know? I looked it up. Radio Free Europe is still in existence.
No.
Yeah.
Europe is free. What are we broadcasting?
I don't know. I don't know who we're broadcasting to. But I think Obama shut down Radio TV Marti because I clicked on that website and got nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're not broadcasting in Central
Not,
America.
that was to Cuba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Cuba.
Yeah, we built a big tower like in Key West or something to broadcast directly into Cuba TV.
They probably have direct TV or Dish TV down there now.
Let's see, Bureau of Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade. Is that different? Oh no, that's the same thing. They just one was called maybe it isn't. One is called the Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau, and this one is called the Bureau of Alcohol Tax and Trade.
Double.
It looks like the same thing. That's the same thing. Because the other one's here too. Bureau of Citizenship and Immigration Services. Well, they just waive all the laws anyway. What the heck? Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection. When I was working for a collection firm in Albany when I first got out of law school, this is when the federal government got into all this consumer financial protection.
Yeah.
And there were all these different rules when you were borrowing money from a financial institution. You had to make sure that the contract includes this, and this, the 20 or 30 things in plain language. And in addition, you had to get rid of the small print. And literally, they pointed out what pica size each notice had to be. Okay. And that's why when you see some of these, this is an effort to collect the debt, and it takes up 3/4 of the page, right? Because that's well. We had clients that were in the lending small lending institutions, right? Mm-hmm. Local, finance outfits, and I think we had to. I think our firm had a lot to do with helping them put all these regulations together to put together their lending forms so that they were in conformance with these laws. They ended up having to create a size of paper that I don't think previously existed, because all this had to be on page 1, and it had to be in such a pica type.
You couldn't do it.
That it couldn't be done on an 8.5 by 11 or even an 8.5 by 14. It ended up being like poster size first page of these documents because of.
It has to be on one page. It doesn't matter how the page is supposed to be.
Because of the Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection. And this is what the federal government, and nobody says, you guys are idiots. You're nuts. What are you doing? And can you get rid of it? No, this is the Bureau of Consumer Finance. They're protecting people. Bureau of Economic Analysis, Bureau of Indian Affairs. Now, that's
BIA.
Well, wait a minute. That's the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and I thought this other one was probably that. Or the Administration for Native Americans is something different.
That's probably more of an advocacy group because of the Administration of, and this is the Bureau for. Bureau of. I think it's, yeah. They're working opposite ends of the same candle there.
How about, let's try to imagine what this one is. The Bureau of Industry and Security.
Trying to say from Nazi infiltrated.
Bureau of International Labor Affairs. Now, why are we getting involved in international labor affairs? We got enough labor problems of our own. What do we care what they're doing in other countries? Bureau of Justice Statistics, Bureau of Labor Statistics, Bureau of Land Management. That's a big one. They own 90% of the West, right?
Yeah.
Or control it. Bureau of Prisons, Bureau of Reclamation, Bureau of the Census. They managed to keep busy 10 years at a time.
That's right.
Bureau of the Engraving and Printing.
Okay, yeah, make the money.
They make the money. Bureau of the Public Debt. They jockey the figures. You notice the public debt has been exactly the same for 3 months now? Exactly, they come to the penny.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Even though we run deficits every month, it comes out the same. Because otherwise they would have gone over the debt limit.
That's right. We have to borrow enough money to keep paying our bills.
Bureau of Transportation Statistics.
How many people ride buses and trains?
No, they don't want you to know that.
Well,
no, they don't want you to know that because then you find out how much how much we're subsidizing.
Well, kind of like the MCM Transportation Department.
You know, at one point, the county put in. Don't get me going on the Amsterdam bus system. The county put in the new bus system, and for a while, they were. I figured it out on their own statistics. They were subsidizing each ride by $50 just to pay for the administrator. Yeah.
You give people $10 and take a cab
Yeah.
save 40.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Except somebody else is paying for it. See, the grants from the federal and state government. The Capitol Visitor Center. Okay, the Census Bureau, or that's different from the Bureau of the Census? No, the same thing. They're just indexed differently. So there aren't quite as many. Some of them are indexed twice. The Center for Food Safety and Applied Nutrition. Okay, I'm for food safety. Forget the applied nutrition. Center for Disease Control and Prevention. They do a good job. I don't know if they do a good job, but they do a necessary job. It's important to get these.
CDC, right?
Yeah, it's important to get these, to strike at these diseases while they're fresh, rather than wait for the plague. Tough job. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. That's just the services. This is not
The administration of the program.
Yeah. Central Command, CENTCOM.
Which is different than Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's the same thing. CIA. Chemical Safety and Hazard Investigation Board.
Something that's spilled, we come and check it out.
Chief Acquisition Officers Council. That's kind of like the administrators' administration. Right? They all get together and say, hey, how can we buy paper clips? Well, I don't know, you know, six-figure guys. And then there's a chief, that was the Chief Acquisition. Then there's the Chief Financial Officers Council. The Chief Human Capital Officers Council.
What?
Human capital, that's like personnel, right?
Yeah, same HR.
Chief Information Officers Council. And of course they all have staffs, you know.
Several. Now, wait a second. This situation was taking place yesterday in Washington, and it was telling how all the congressmen and all their staffers and aides were sheltering in place. How did they determine that staffers and aides to Congress are essential? Wouldn't you think the size of some of these staffs that the congressmen have, wouldn't you think, like...
Who wrote the law?
Good point. The same thing, just like they wrote the law that says all their employees are exempt from...
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, some of those congressmen are denying that that's the fact. Oh. All right. Let's see, the Citizens Stamp Advisory Committee.
No.
Yes. Yes. There's an advisory committee of citizens who advise the post office what our next stamp should be.
Now, is the post office an independent?
Well, sort of. Well, they're not part of the shutdown because they're independently financed. Yeah.
That's essential.
No, it's because they're independently financed.
Okay. So shouldn't these guys be independently financed through the post office?
Yeah, you'd think, right? Although that's probably in here too. It's just Citizenship and Immigration Services. We had one of those earlier. Civilian Radioactive Waste Management. And I guess that's like, you know, the low-level hospital stuff that they throw away. So, the Coast Guard, Commerce Department, Commission on Civil Rights, Commission on Fine Arts. What if that were abolished tomorrow? Would there cease to be fine arts? I doubt it because, you know, they did nothing for me and I still painted that picture last week at Saratoga sipping...
I saw that. You and granddaughter, right?
Yes. Yes.
I couldn't. Now, were you holding the one your axe did, or were you holding hers?
No, she was holding hers. I
and
was
you
holding mine. They
Really?
were
They're
very
similar.
They are very similar. If Mary was here, I'd tell her to bring them both out here because they're only a short distance away. Commission on International Religious Freedom. What do they do all day?
Obviously, they don't do much in the Middle East.
The Commission on Security and Cooperation in Europe, parenthesis Helsinki Commission. That was put together in the Cold War to avoid a hot war, okay? It was back when Eastern Europe was communist, and they were still trying to decide the borders left over from World War II. All that stuff was resolved when Gerald Ford was president, and of course the Soviet Union went down when you were there.
Yes.
In 1991, right?
Yeah.
And you did it.
We still I did it, and we still have it.
Still have the Commission on Security and Cooperation in Europe.
Once something is established by the government, it never ever goes away.
The Warsaw Pact doesn't even exist anymore, and yet we're still paying this Commission on Security and Cooperation in Europe. Committee for the Implementation of Textile Agreements. Oh, Lord. A whole committee on this. Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States. I don't know whether they're for it or against it.
Yeah, hard to say.
Community-oriented policing services.
Aren't all police services working in a community?
Parenthesis, cops. That's one of those federal government programs that sends money to the localities to hire cops. 2 years later, stops funding them, and we get stuck with it. Community Planning and Development. Lord knows. That's Office of Compliance.
So they're in charge of making sure everybody follows all the rules in all these other departments.
The Computer Emergency Readiness Team. All right, Congressional Budget Office, Congressional Research Service. Those do an important job keeping congressmen informed. The Constitution Center. The hell do we need that for? Nobody's paying any attention to it. Which reminds me, there was the Harry Truman Scholarship Foundation. Yeah, there's a James Madison Memorial Fellowship Foundation, which is designed to provide grants to support Madison's view of the Constitution, or something like that.
Obviously, normally our government's gone through that program.
Yeah. Wow. Consumer Product Safety Commission, the Coordinating Council on Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention. There are also, of course, multi-state organizations that do the same thing, where the people from these departments, you don't need the federal government to do that.
Is there
because it is a local thing.
Is there a Bureau of Redundancy in there?
There is.
There is.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 of them.
Very good. Very good. One's a bureau and one's a department.
The Copyright Office. Corporation for National and Community Service. Oh, geez. Now, how many of these things are there? This is different from AmeriCorps and all this, Council on Environmental Quality. Court of Appeals for the Armed Forces, Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit, Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims, Court of Federal Claims, Court of International Trade. Defense Acquisition University. University to educate people on how to purchase defense stuff. Oh Lord, I'm just going to skip over the defenses and the Denali Commission, DENALI.
Denali is Indian.
Like the Fagawi?
Yeah, like that, but they're real. Pretty sure.
So they have their own commission. I bet the Mohawks don't. Yeah.
They got a river though.
That's true. The Bright Mohawk Valley. Wow.
Go to F.
Okay, F. What are we looking for?
Fulbright.
Oh, okay. Well, of course, F has got everything with federal in front of it. That just goes on and on and on. Fulbright Foreign Scholarship Board. Yep.
Oh, that's important. That got me to Russia.
Is that right?
That's why I had
You're a Fulbright scholar like
yeah.
Bill Clinton?
Oh, wasn't he a Rhodes Scholar? I thought Fulbright.
No, he was a Fulbright scholar.
Was he?
Yes, because Fulbright is the guy who brought him. He was from Arkansas, and he's the guy who brought him. Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, that's why I had
Yeah,
Fulbright.
yeah.
That's why I was teaching over
I
there.
mean, he was a real Fulbright foreign scholar.
As
Yeah.
opposed to make believe one like I was.
Well, I mean, it was Fulbright himself who who said, "I want this guy."
He picked him all. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I could be wrong about that, but I don't think I am. The Grain Inspection Packers and Stockyards Administration. I'll bet that's been around for a while, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Grange.
You can just see Teddy Roosevelt waking up one morning and saying,
What we need.
let's have a Stockyards Administration. Just because they can doesn't mean they should. The Harry S. Truman Scholarship Foundation. So we got Truman, Goldwater, Madison,
Fulbright.
Fulbright. Well, I didn't get that. Was there an I did skip Eisenhower at your request. Let's see. EIO.
Cow.
No.
EIO? No?
No. There's an Election Assistance Commission. Elementary and Secondary Education Office of. This sounds like the Greater Amsterdam School District. There's no end to these things. No wonder. Employee Benefits Security Administration, Employment and Training Administration, Endangered Species Committee. Wow. Well, we're going to just, have to do. Oh, here's one for you. The Innovation and Improvement Office.
Now, there's a job right here they could do.
Yeah.
How we can get rid of
And followed as the Inspectors General. You ever see that Danny Kaye movie, The Inspector General?
No.
It's a good movie, and especially if you watch Common Council meetings, because the basic theme is the Inspector General is coming, and the local Common Council is in this mythical mid-Europe community is terrified. And Danny Kaye shows up, and they think he's the Inspector General, and so they bend over backwards. But the whole thing, the local government aspect of it is hilarious and dead on. Interpol. I guess we're part of Interpol. Okay.
Yeah.
The Joint Fire Science Program.
The what?
The Joint Fire Science Program.
Okay.
I don't know who's joint. Let's light some up, boys. Oh, that was a big one out in Wyoming, wasn't it? Yeah. Well, the Migratory Bird Conservation Commission. Yep. Maritime Administration. The Millennium Challenge Corporation.
We're planning for the next one?
I don't know. Which millennium are we talking about? That's probably been around since the first one.
Yeah. You build it, they will stay.
The Missile Defense Agency, the Mississippi River Commission. Oh, how about this one? The Morris K. Udall and Stuart L. Udall Foundation.
Morris Udall.
They didn't know which one to name it for. So we get them both in, I forget, were they father and son or brothers? I forget.
I remember.
It was the
them,
same family.
Yeah.
Stuart Udall was Secretary of the Air Force at one time under Kennedy, and then was in the Senate. And Morris Udall was in the Senate. NASA. Okay.
Keep that.
The National Agricultural Statistics Service. The National AIDS Policy Office.
That's relatively new.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. The National Bipartisan Commission on the Future of Medicare. And that just goes on and on and on and on, and then nobody's agreeing on anything, partisan or bipartisan or multi-partisan. They come up with an idea and the Congress ignores it. National Capital Planning Commission. National Cemetery Administration. Okay, I guess they can take care of those. The National Commission on Fiscal Responsibility and Reform. What do they do?
Not very successful.
What do they do? Why are we keeping that? Again, the National Constitution Center. That may be different from the other one. National Council on Disability. National Counterintelligence Executive. National Credit Union Administration. National Defense University. National Drug Intelligence Center. National, shouldn't like the FBI be doing these things? I don't know. National Endowment for the Arts, not to be confused with the National Endowment for the Humanities or the National Gallery of Art. Oh, National Geospatial Intelligence Agency.
Shouldn't.
What do they do? Geospatial intelligence? Is that a satellite thing?
Yeah, it's.
I don't know.
Fall under somebody.
National Indian Gaming Commission.
What games Indians play?
Isn't that a
Shoot the white
local issue?
man? No.
Why is that a national issue?
You know why they call it gaming? Because it doesn't sound as bad as gambling.
Right. It's gaming, yes. Yeah. National Institutes of Standards and Technology. National Interagency Fire Center.
Did we have a fire one before?
Yes. We had National Laboratories Energy Department. Not to be.
Is that about bathrooms?
Who knows? Not lavatories.
Laboratories.
Laboratories.
I'm sorry, I thought you said lavatories.
No. That's probably in here too. That's a subdivision of the National John Administration. Oh God.
You know, I call it, in our house we call it a gym.
Is that right?
Yeah, because it sounds better when you say I'm going to the gym.
5 times a day.
Yeah.
National Reconnaissance Office.
You're reconning.
National Reconnaissance Office. What could that be? I'm skipping over a lot of these, naturally. The Northern Command. I like that. The Northern Command. It sounds like.
Are we still fighting the Civil War?
Sounds like. I was going to say it sounds like an Errol Flynn movie, doesn't it? Northern Command. The Northwest Power Planning Council. Why do
they need it?
Why does the Northwest get? Yeah. Nuclear Waste Technical Review Board. Oak Ridge National Laboratory. That was put together for the Manhattan Project.
That's right.
Still there.
Manhattan still exists.
Office of Compliance. Office of Elementary and Secondary Education. Office of Government Ethics.
Whoa, boy, that's an oxymoron.
Actually, we've seen most of these already. Okay. Pacific Command.
We have Atlantic.
Oh, how about this? The Office of Pardon Attorney.
Huh?
If you want a pardon, I guess. There's actually an office you can go to.
Okay.
Not to be confused with the Parole Commission.
Well, yeah, pardons and parole are different.
Pension Benefit Guarantee Corporation. Pentagon Force Protection Agency. What the heck is that?
They're in charge of protecting the Pentagon. They're the
I don't think
Capitol
so.
Police. Well,
maybe. Well, maybe.
Sounds like it.
Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration. Policy Development and Research. Political Affairs, State Department. Postal Regulatory Commission, Postal Service. You're right, they do exist. Power Administrations. The President's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports, put together by President Kennedy. Remember the 40-mile hike?
Yeah.
We were all doing 40-mile hikes? Sure we were.
50-mile hikes. That's what they were.
Was it 50-mile
Yeah.
hike?
Oh,
yeah, you're right. Yeah.
50-miler.
That's when we had mandatory phys ed went in as a result of that.
Yeah, and we used to have to take the president's
President's fitness. Yeah, remember we had to sprint.
We went across the parking lot across from St.
Mary's. Yeah, across from the church.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
The only time I had gym in
once
8 years.
Yeah.
That was it.
We took the president's physical fitness test.
Yeah.
Wow.
Never got my score back on that.
Prisoner of War and Missing Personnel Office. Public and Indian Housing. Public and Indian Housing. Railroad Retirement Board. That is,
Boy, is that from way back.
that exists similar to Social Security. I think it actually predates Social Security, but it's a separate operation. They kind of work. My
Same thing but different.
my father-in-law had railroad retirement as opposed to Social Security, and then when he died and my mother-in-law retired, then they balance out, well, would she get more under his railroad retirement under her Social Security? He actually made more in retirement than he did when he was working. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Well, because he lived a long life, and not that long, but and because he had young kids.
He outlived the actuary.
But he had, he had 3 student-age kids when he retired.
So he got more?
Yeah. You get more if you've got dependents.
Oh yeah, I know you're doing Social Security, but it doesn't seem like you're.
You'll find out next year because you got me. How old's Misha now? You're gonna suck this one up. If I were you, I'd be talking to the wife tonight. This could work out for a good long time. No, seriously, that makes a big difference. Yeah.
Have you started to collect?
What's that?
Have you collected?
Oh yeah. I got my first check in August, or direct deposit. Yeah.
But you're limited what you can earn.
Yeah, but there's no punishment for your taking it. Suppose, for example, that I now make too much a month. They would cut off $1 for every $2 I earn over the limit.
Oh, really?
And the limit is like $1,200 or $1,400 a month, something like that. So if I make more than that, I don't know how they figure it, but then they cut me back. $2 for every dollar over the limit, $1 for every $2 over the limit, until it evens out and I get nothing. But meanwhile, all the money I earn goes to increase my experience level, and when I collect it again, I will
get
more, and the time that I'm not collecting it is no longer
that charge against you.
You're right.
Yeah.
Right. And then once I hit 70, it's unlimited earnings, and when I hit 66, it goes up to more earnings I can make. So there really is no reason not to sign up for it at 62, even if you don't get it every month. Keep that in mind. There's no negative to it. Top of which, nobody in my family lives as long as that. So, heck, if you don't collect it, you never get it. Yeah. Well, my older brother, right? My brother Jay was the first one to hit 60.
It's 12 o'clock.
12 o'clock?
Yeah.
I haven't even got to the T's yet. Wow. U.S. Sentencing Commission.
U.S. Army.
Washington Headquarters Services.
Is he still around?
I'm wondering about that. Is this Valley Forge?
Yeah.
Who knows? West Point, parenthesis, Army. Yeah, Western Area Power Administration.
Which is different than the Northwestern.
The White House Commission on Presidential Scholars. White House Office of Administration. The Women's Bureau. The Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars. Anyway.
The tax dollars at work.
I don't know what to say. I think most people will not notice. I mean, if Obama hadn't been illegally shutting down these places, I don't think most people would even notice the government was shut down for a while. I remember I think it was John McLaughlin when he wrote for the Nick News. I think it was him. One year the state didn't have a budget, and they furloughed everybody, and he wrote this great column about how no one noticed until the office picnic in June when they had 300 steaks left over.
And not being funny, but can you just, looking at that list, how much redundancy there really,
oh my God! And they know. They did a study a few years ago. One of these outfits did a study. And they say, some of these things, there's like 22 different agencies doing exactly the same thing or some aspect of it, and with their own layers of administration.
and their own levels of administration and their own levels of regulation that they're imposing on the various segments of society that they affect that causes an increase in
everything. What nonsense! I would eliminate at least half the federal government if I were God. And you know what? The world would survive and no one would notice.
Yeah. And you'd have a lot of skilled people out there to put into the private sector to actually produce and grow the economy.
Was it, I think it was Reagan said, a federal agency is the nearest thing to eternal life we'll ever see in this life. Oh. Okay. Anyway, so that's, I guess that's our show for today. That was a lazy show.
But it was interesting.
It was interesting.
It was interesting.
It was interesting.
So it highlights the...
Where do we find Such Men? Available at the Bookhound and the Old Peddler's Wagon on Church Street. Bookhound is on Main Street. Just keep driving around. Eventually you'll see it. Right. Or Amazon.com for those of you in the other regions. And with that, I would say thank you, Gavin. And we'll be back on Tuesday with our radio show. Next Friday, we should have another podcast. And Jim will be back.
Is he being?
Well, he was detained. He called just before you got here. He was detained today. So that's it for the show with no name.